Hello and welcome to class number 23 of the UPSC Mains Answering Initiative. This is the 23rd consecutive class. We are meeting every single day since the last 23 days at 7 p.m. to try and answer a previous year question and to remove the fear of answer writing from your mind, which is the biggest stumbling block for most of the candidates. All I ask for you is to make sure that you have already subscribed to this channel, that you are regular here and you do the homework that I provide to you. And I promise you, by the time you are ready to face the prelims examination, you will be all set to write all these answers. As you know, in every single one of these classes, we decode a previous year question, try and answer that, and then also give your homework, which I am very happy to check on your behalf. If you have still not seen any of the earlier classes, if you are new here, I am giving you the link of the entire playlist in the description of this video. You can go and check that out as well. Also, in order to get the PDF of these lectures, you can join the Telegram channel. The link again of this Telegram channel is in the description of this video. Do go and check that out as well. On that note, let's see what do we have to write. Before that, once again a reminder, as I give in every single one of these lectures, in case you are new here and you don't know how to start writing the answer, how to make the introduction, main body, conclusion, how to differentiate amongst them, I would really request you, advise you to go back to class number 1 of this series. In the class first of this series, we discussed about how and what to write in the introduction, how and what to write in the main body, how and what to write in the conclusion, where to write the way forward, where to summarize, so on and so forth. So make sure that you do that. If you have not seen that class number 1, again, you can go to the playlist and you can go to class number 1 from that. Let's see which is the previous year question that we are taking up today. Today we have a question from GS2, that is asked in 2023. Explain the significance of 101st Constitutional Amendment Act. To what extent does it reflect the accommodative spirit of federalism? That's an interesting question. The reason being that if you don't know which was the 101st Amendment, or if you have any confusion in your mind, it will be very difficult for you to answer this. And that is why I always advise you, you don't have to remember all the constitutional amendments, but do try and remember at least the last 10. So at least the last 10 to 12 amendments that have been in the Constitution, you should remember them by number. It's not possible to remember all of them, but you should remember at least the last 10 to 12 because these are relevant. They were done recently and they have a probability of being asked. Those who know it, great. Those who don't know it, it will become slightly tricky. So basically, 101st Amendment was introduction of the GST. So the question is, significance of the GST and how does it reflect the accommodative spirit of federalism? Now, as you know, GST was a constitutional amendment that required at least half of the state legislatures also to say yes. Why? Because it changed the tax structure of India in such a way that even the state governments had to let go of a lot of their indirect taxes. So it was not a change that the parliament could do alone. They required at least half of the states also to support it, and that is why it took a lot of time. So there are two basically main parts of this answer. In the main body first, significance of GST, how has it changed our economic system, and second, how does it reflect the accommodative spirit. Let's see the first one. Significance basically would be it has improved the tax structure, it has made it much more transparent, tax on tax or double taxation etc. has reduced. On the other hand, how does it reflect the accommodative spirit? Because at least half of the states had to come together. That's an example of how the states have accommodated. It's also important to highlight here the role of the GST Council. The GST Council, where there is representation of the center and all the states, they come together. They are the ones to decide the slabs under the GST. These are some of the pointers that you would have to include here. So on that note, let's start writing the answer. Introduction can be very simple. You have to just define what is the 101st Amendment. So in the introduction, just make it clear to the examiner that you know what is the 101st Amendment. So 101st Amendment introduced the GST and established a uniform taxation framework across India. Then we'll give a connecting line as we usually do. That is, it has changed the financial relationship and it has led to a more cooperative and collaborative framework between the center and the state. So on that note, you will now come to the main body part of it. As I said, main body would you have 2 pointers, 2 different things. First, significance. Significance basically, as I said, improved tax collection. We are seeing increased tax collections month on month. So the amount of tax being collected is improving. We are seeing now, due to a simplified structure, it's easier for the tax inspector also to collect it. It is based on technology. It's very difficult to evade GST. Talk to any merchant, talk to any businessman, and they'll tell you the system of GST has made it extremely difficult to avoid any taxes, because it has to be in the entire chain from where you source your raw material to your finished product. At every single chain, the same GST would continue. So even if there's a break in between, it will be caught very, very quickly. It has also equated state revenue. So basically, earlier, states that had more manufacturing, that had set up much more manufacturing plants, and then like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, they had an advantage because most of the taxes were based on manufacturing. So the states that manufactured that, they were the ones who used to get most of the taxes. GST is a consumption based tax on the other hand. So now you have a scenario where the tax revenue is much more evenly distributed amongst different states. It has also reduced taxation barriers because of one nation, one market tax. Earlier, different states used to have different tax slabs because they were free to decide the tax slabs, because of which, due to uneven taxation, there used to be a situation where products were not sold from one state to the other state. Some people preferred buying products in some specific states. Now that has changed. We have a concept where single tax slab of the GST is available across the entire country. How does it reflect accommodative spirit? As I give you an example first, the states had to come together. This is one of those constitutional amendments. At least half of the state legislatures had to say yes. Only then it came into picture. Secondly, the GST Council. It's a constitutional body which is a prime example of how the states and the center can work together. Now, yes, agreed, the center has much more powers here. As you know, in the GST Council, the Union Finance Minister has 2/3 votes. So, of the total number of votes, 2/3 votes are with the Union's Finance Minister. And no decision in the GST Council can be taken in less than 3/4 votes. So, for any decision to be taken in the GST Council, it has to be supported by at least 3/4 votes, while 2/3 of the total votes are just with the Union Finance Minister. In other words, there is veto power for the Union Finance Minister. However, still, we have a spirit of collaboration here because the center alone will not be able to take any decision. That is why this is an example. And as I said, states have come together, they have passed this, and only then it has become a reality. Apart from that, the regional imbalances are also now being addressed. Regional imbalances, as I said, in the sense that certain states had different tax slabs, some other states would have had different tax slabs on the same products, on the same services. Those are now being changed. These are some of the things how accommodative spirit of federalism is being seen. There are very frequent meetings of the GST Council. Most of the decisions, interestingly, are being taken by consensus. Central government wants consensus of most of the states and they are happy to do that. Now, having said that, there are some issues with the GST. There are some issues where the states have complained. For example, the states have complained that many states, especially those who are good in manufacturing, used to have more tax collection, more tax in their kitty pre-GST as compared to today. Many of the states were promised that don't worry, we will give you, that central government will give you, compensate any loss in revenue. But the states say that the loss in revenue has not been compensated. Central government took the shield or took the example of COVID or took the reasoning of COVID by saying that because of COVID-19 we don't have enough money, we can't give it to you. But most of the manufacturing states were not happy because all their effort into manufacturing that they had made to increase their tax revenue now is not of much use. Also, central government maintains the power to levy additional taxes such as excise on tobacco and cess and surcharge. Cess and surcharge are those forms of taxation that are not shared with the states. Remember, when the Finance Commission advises to the central government that you should share X part of your revenue with the states, that does not include cess and surcharge, that only includes the taxes. That is also a big problem, that even after GST implementation, the central government uses excuse such as cess, surcharge to earn more money directly into their pocket rather than giving it to the states. So this is something that is straining the relationship between center and the state, and the states are not happy with that. These are the pointers in the main body. Now you can conclude this with about how the GST implementation has led to a more unified tax structure in India. Yes, there are certain loopholes that need to be ironed out, but it is a step in the right direction. Or if you remember, let's say some committee, some important personality that would have given some suggestion for GST, you can write that also in the conclusion. That recently so and so person, RBI governor and so suggested that this change should be made in GST. Or recently this committee suggested such a change in the GST structure. If you remember any of that, that can also be in the concluding argument here to conclude your answer. On that note, let's see today's homework for you. We have a homework again from GS2 that was asked in 2023. Explain the structure of the parliamentary committee system. How far have the financial committees helped in the institutionalization of Indian Parliament? When you say financial committees, you mean to say the estimates committee, public account committee, committee of public undertakings. Those are the ones that are called as financial committees. So this is what you have to write about. Interesting question, because usually we don't read about parliamentary committees in a lot of detail. We read about them mainly from the prelims exam point of view, but in the mains also they have been asked. And this is an example of that particular question. You can send this answer to me and I'll try and give you a feedback in a few days. Again, if you have missed out on any of the earlier classes, do go to the playlist and you can watch that out. If the prelims is very near you and you don't want to spend time on this series, don't worry. You can come back to this after prelims is over and then you can practice this. Thank you so much for watching. Do hit the subscribe button if you have not done so till now. Bye-bye. Jai Hind.